Today we're going to be talking about the Dinka Jester Classic, how it seems to have gone missing, and what happened to this vehicle. Like, when is it going to be coming out? What are the sort of possibilities we can be looking at here to when it might actually release, and a whole lot more. So today we're going to be talking about some information from FundMW2, who posted a lot of interesting stuff on the GTA forum site. So he posted this a couple hours ago. He said the Southern San Andreas Super Sports Series drip feed is now done. The Jester Classic is what remains, assuming they are planning to release it. And that is the biggest question. What is going to happen to the Dinka Jester Classic? Now, there's two possibilities here. Number one, Rockstar are just extending the drip feed, and we might see it next week, and then all of these questions are answered, and then boom, it's out. That's one possibility, just to extend the drip feed, maybe because there's a delay in the next update. Who knows? The second possibility is maybe that Rockstar plans to re-release the Dinka Jester Classic. In case you guys don't know, this vehicle hasn't gotten the best reception. There's a lot of bugs, there's a lot of little glitches that come along with it. It doesn't really have the best customization, performance, modifications. A lot of people say it's in the wrong category, it's a part of the wrong brand, and maybe Rockstar would essentially re-release this vehicle in a future update with more customization, with more things for the vehicles, liveries, bumper options, stuff like that. Things that people want to see on this vehicle because it is such an iconic car. It's based off of the Toyota Supra. It was featured in GTA San Andreas. This vehicle's been featured in pop culture and film and TV shows, so a lot of people know of this car, and so far they're disappointed with what they've seen, whether they've played with it in single player or whether they've seen YouTube videos about it. So maybe there's a chance Rockstar has seen that criticism as well and plans to ultimately re-release the vehicle. And as I mentioned earlier, we don't know what Rockstar's plans are because it could come out next week. If it doesn't, again, the question is going to be extended. What has happened to this vehicle and why hasn't it come out yet? Moving on, FundMW2 answered another question. He said, is it possible for them to fix the Jester Classic that's already on our game files and modify its looks and performance for a future update? And he said they can fix it with a new update, performance and looks, and pretty much everything else. No, it doesn't require a new model. They are always pushing, in quotes, patch day NG files with every new update to fix model issues with various vehicles. So basically, what FundMW2 is saying is as long as Rockstar keeps the same model, they don't have to completely scrap the car. They can just make all the fixes to the bugs and the little things that are wrong to it, and they can add more customization, like adding a different set of spoilers, liveries, exhaust options, splitter options, bumper options, etc. And they can also change some of the performance issues that is with this vehicle. I'm sure they're going to change the performance issues of all the cars that are in the Southern San Andreas Super Sports Series update, and the Jester Classic is affected by that handling bug that they decided to add in this update too. So I'm sure they would fix that as well. I'm not sure what else they would do to this vehicle, maybe make it a Benny's car. I have no idea. But basically, Rockstar essentially wouldn't have to start over. They would just have to fix everything with the model and then add things onto it, which is something they've done in various updates to previous vehicles. So we've seen them do this in the past as well. Moving on, FundMW2 answers another question. He says, wasn't there a story about the R2K, which I think is the Ruiner 2000, having two models in the game files or some other vehicle? I'm pretty sure I've read about it. And he says, yeah, if you want to introduce something new to the car, it must be done with a new model. If it's something that already exists within the car, but you need to fix it or modify it, then it can be done without a new model. So what FundMW2 is talking about is why some vehicles in the game have multiple different models to the car, whereas with this version, the Jester Classic, there wouldn't need to be a second one. You would just build off of the one that Rockstar has already created, unless they're doing something completely new to the car. Unless they decide, okay, the model we released in Southern San Andreas Super Sports is just simply not good enough. And if that's the case, they would just scrap it and they would re-release a brand new model. It might be called the exact same thing, unless, of course, they change the brand and the model, like going from Dinka to Karen or something like that. But it might be the same car. It would just be a completely different model. And we wouldn't notice any of that The only people that would notice that would be Rockstar's design team, because they would have to be redoing the entire car itself. So we wouldn't notice any of those changes, but Rockstar would, and they might have to start over. He answers another question that is, so you think that to bring the Jester Classic up to our expectations, they could do it with the same model, like adding new spoilers, exhaust liveries, and such? And he says, you are saying you want to add new things to the car, or just fixes to existing modifications. New modifications require a new model. Okay, so that was a little bit confusing, but now I actually understand this. So if Rockstar just wants to fix existing customization, it could be the same model. But if they want to add a new spoiler, that requires a new model. So if Rockstar is going to re-release this car, I think there's a good chance we're going to get a completely new model. Whereas if they release it with the Super Sports update, they're probably just going to fix the existing modifications on the vehicle. So unfortunately, that means nothing new is going to be able to come if they release it in this update. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I almost hope that they don't release it in Southern San Andreas Super Sports. They save it for a future update, and they add all those things that we want. New liveries, new spoilers, exhaust, stuff like that. That would be pretty cool. As long as Rockstar communicates with us. I would hate to see this vehicle just go into purgatory for the next month or so, where we have no idea what's going to happen. And then of course, in the next update, it's here. It's like, hey, this exists. Don't forget about this car. I really want Rockstar to communicate with us. And I don't know if they're going to do that because that's never really been their history or their forte, but it would be nice to just kind of have a little bit of a better idea of what's going on with this vehicle. Moving on, another user said, I added tuning options to existing cars already and it's easy. I think this guy's talking about modding. To fix the Jester Classic, they need to update it with the patch day folder so the broken version is overwritten. If they add new tuning options, then they would need to update the mods file of it with the patch day folder too, and then edit the car calls to let the game read them, and add the strings to the language files done. I know that was a little confusing. It's a bunch of mod talk lingo. FundamW2 says, unfortunately, that's not how Rockstar work. If you want new modifications and such, they will come up with a new model. Always been like that. Not sure why we're discussing it now. I think the reason we're discussing it now is this is the first time Rockstar has really released a vehicle in the game that has gotten a lot of disgust from the community in terms of its modifications and whatnot. Rockstar typically do a really good job of adding like famous modifications to vehicles. Like for example, with the Rune Cheburek, they added the cardboard options. Like that's obviously something they did their research on. So it's just strange that they had such a big swing and a miss on the Jester Classic, a car that, again, they know exists. They've probably seen it in Fast and Furious. I'm sure that they grew up driving these vehicles. So I'm sure that's why we're talking about it now. It's because this car has really risen to the top in terms of ones that are disappointing as far as, Rockstar's performance and, what they've done to the vehicle itself. So that's probably why we're talking about it right now. So now finally, let's talk about the possibilities of this car, when we could see it, and a little bit more. So before we can do that, we need to talk about what else we have left. So from Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series, this was released today. The new Transform races, the Target Assault Race Creator, the Doomsday Heist vehicles, and Import-Export weaponized vehicles in Capture, Deathmatch, and LTS Creators, Doomsday Heist vehicles in the Race Creator, Capture and Race Creator updates, the Anti-Aircraft Trailer, Bunker Caddy, Night Shark, Weaponized Tampa, and the Ardent were all added into the Creator today. So the only thing that leaves is the Jester Classic. That's literally the only thing Rockstar has left from Southern San Andreas Super Autos, unless they plan on doing something else like the Martin Madrazo dispatch services. That's something that technically could be added in another event week, but it's not on the tunable schedule. This would be something that they would have to make up on the fly. So let's talk about the next possibility of the Dinka Jester Classic releasing, and that would be next Tuesday on June 12th. So the current event week goes through June 11th, so June 12th would be the next possibility of this car coming out, if it's going to come out in Southern San Andreas Super Autos. Now, if it does not come out in Southern San Andreas Super Autos, then it's going to be coming out in the next DLC, hopefully, unless Rockstar decide to scrap the car altogether. That's a third possibility and option that I didn't really even think of, is Rockstar just completely getting rid of this car. I think that's the least likely of all the options we're looking at today, but it's certainly one that we need to consider. So according to various rumors and leaks, the next update is not supposed to come out in the month of June. So if the Dinka Jester Classic doesn't come out in the month of June, that means the earliest we're going to see this vehicle potentially is in July. And keep in mind, this update technically came out in March. So imagine wanting a vehicle since March, you hope it's going to be coming, but it doesn't arrive until July. That is insane. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I dislike the drip feeding in the current state it's in right now. It's way too unpredictable. Rockstar's communication is not good enough for this. And it's unfortunate when you get super excited for something and it doesn't come out for weeks and months later. And in this case of the Jester Classic, potentially even never. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think has happened to the Dinka Jester Classic? Do you think it has gone missing? Do you think Rockstar is going to just release it next week? Do you think it'll be coming out in the next update? Do you think it'll be coming out never? They scrapped it altogether. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.